I'm Janice Edwards. Coming up on Signature Silicon Valley, we'll find out what's going on at the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. Then the Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce is hosting Blacks in Technology, a special event. The comedian Garrett Gonzalez was in town and we were on location at the San Jose Improv. You'll have a couple of laughs there. And African versus African Americans is the topic of an upcoming event. The movie Bound focuses on that. We'll talk with Chike Inofua and Rufus White. That's all next on Signature Silicon Valley. I'm Janice Edwards. Welcome to Signature Silicon Valley. We begin today with Patricia Gardner, who's well known for her signature throughout our valley as CEO and Executive Director of the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Janice, for having me.
It's a pleasure. Most people, of course, know about your work, but for people who are unfamiliar, explain a little bit about what your organization does.
Well, the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits comes together to support interests that are important to the 200 members and the 5,000 nonprofits that are active in San Jose to make sure that policymakers and foundations and others are really taking note of the great work that nonprofits do in our community.
Yes, and it's been a tough time. When it's a tough time in the Valley, it's been tough for nonprofits in many ways too, especially with fundraising. And recently you had an event that helped people focus on that. What came out of that?
Well, I think that one of the things that we had a lot of speakers from foundations and corporations and others is that most people are saying that we're coming out of the slump.
Yes.
And that it's time to begin to actively fundraise. And we really wanted to highlight best ways to write your proposals, to talk to individuals, and what are the cutting edge issues that donors are looking for right now.
So those are some of the things that were discussed, which are
Yes.
great for strategic planning and looking forward. And then you have classes, and in this month of April, you have a number of classes that you're offering there. Any particular ones that stand out that people might want to take advantage of?
Yeah, we have a big program on technology. You know, many of our nonprofits, they do so much direct service that they haven't done a very good job of connecting technology to make their business practices go better. So we have a very large called Hands-on Tech program. We'll have some upcoming classes in Salesforce, which is a database, Google, Microsoft, and others. You can find them on our website. We have a class coming up in early April for nonprofits that are looking at ways in which they can increase the skills of their management. We have 2 or 3 classes every month, and you can always find them on our website. At least 2 of them are technology related, how to increase your skills in technology, and at least 1 is a content based on how to budget better, how to do your planning, strategic, board development, etc.
Yes, it's so helpful because a lot of times most nonprofits are stretched thin. People work so many hours to accomplish amazing things, but when it comes to having those infrastructure and those leading edge technologies, that's typically an area where they tend to suffer.
And I think that's true, and we've been really fortunate to have investments of our tech companies like Google and Microsoft and Kaiser and others who've really stepped up to say, yes, it's time for nonprofits to learn how to get rid of those old machines,
Yes.
to buy the new machines, and to make them work better for you.
Yes. How did you get involved with this work?
You know, I've been at the council for 14 years. It was an area where I really believed when we came, it was an emerging nonprofit. It wasn't very big. But I believe that nonprofits are the fabric of our community. They are the heart and the soul of the heartbeat of so many of the services that we provide. And having a strong voice and bringing people together to talk about important issues like senior nutrition, like girls and gangs, like juvenile justice, children and youth services, dually involved youth, foster care kids. We serve those clients, and we think it's very important that we give a voice to not only the clients but the agencies that serve those types of people in our community who need a helping hand to be more self-sufficient in our community.
Yes, we certainly had a lot of focus on the rising crime rates in San Jose. Have you seen that impact throughout those who are serviced by the nonprofit agencies?
Well, I mean, I think that's one issue. I mean, we are seeing an uptick in girls and their involvement in the justice system. And we did go to the city of San Jose last year, and the mayor added a girls and gangs unit. We were very excited about that, so that we know that when we approach things at an earlier age, that we have a better chance of turning those programs around. For girls and gangs, if they're incarcerated, then their families, many of them have kids. So we think it's really important to address those issues early on.
Yes.
And we were an active spokesperson on that.
Yes, definitely. It's shocking, and at the same time, it makes sense in this as we see what's happening. But to put those practices in place and those services so that girls can find a way out.
Girls can find a way out for themselves and for their kids and for their families. So we think it's an important issue. So the council takes on important issues like that, making sure our seniors have a midday meal in the variety of places that they are in the county, and making sure that our emergency assistance agencies that provide rental assistance, we have a new program now in partnership with the county where people who need their CalFresh and their Medi-Cal benefits can go to one of our emergency assistance agencies and get their services right there, as well as their food and extra assistance.
Yes, it's so important, and thank you so much for all that you're doing, because within our valley there are so many resources, and at the same time there are so many in need, and sometimes just not having information keeps people from reaching out, and Pride can do that as well. So it's wonderful that you're there. The programs make a huge difference, and we want to encourage you, if you have a need, you've heard today about the council, here's how you may contact them and get more information and get the services that are so necessary. Back in June of 2013, we went over to the Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce to welcome its incoming president, Carl Davis Jr. Since that time, he has put his signature on the Valley in several impactful ways, and we're honored to have him in studio today. Carl, nice to see you again, and welcome.
It is nice to be here, Janice.
Yes. One of the things you've been focusing upon, too, has been technology, inclusion and diversity in technology. We saw each other at the summit in December, and then Reverend Jesse Jackson was a guest on Signature Silicon Valley talking about the vision for inclusion. Shortly after that, Intel announced its $300 million commitment to inclusion and diversity. But what are you seeing in terms of the chamber, businesses, et cetera, and what is your focus right now?
Well, what I see, Janice, is very interesting. When Jesse comes in town, if I'm with Jesse, obviously the doors open up, and Jesse, being who he is able to quote unquote shake the trees, but we want to be able to get some of that fruit that falls. So shows like this may open up more doors for us, because we believe we have programs that will actually help Intel presidents and those who are really interested in diversity and inclusion to help them actually meet their goals, which is very, very important.
Yes, it is extremely important. You also are celebrating Blacks in Technology with a special event on May 9th. What's going on there?
Well, we're actually putting together a program that's going to recognize and honor African Americans who've done significant things in the fields of business and in technology, a lot of which people don't know.
Like who, for example?
Well, I'll give you.
Are there surprises, or is this breaking news that we have here right now? Or we have to wait to find out who the honorees are. But let's talk in general then, if you can't give away names.
Well, I won't give away his name, but I'll just describe him in such a way that it'll spur people to go and Google him and take a look at him. Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard, around in the 1930s, were going to Stanford. And this gentleman actually came and built the first computer for them and talked them into getting into the computer business, which later on became the garage on Addison Street, which is now called the place that started Silicon Valley.
Wow.
It was a black man that did it.
I didn't
I
know
won't
that.
say his name.
Yes. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because you and I work together too on the Black Legend Awards, and we'll include that information at the end of the segment, because those are just the type of people who've had impact that are being honored there, but you're also honoring them on May 9th. A mutual friend of ours is going to be the MC, high-tech motivational speaker, Marlon Smith.
Oh, Marlon Smith, yes. I mean, Marlon, I was so blessed that Marlon said he would do it. I mean, being like Anthony Robbins' top motivational speaker, to fly all the way from North Carolina to come and do this. It was just an honor. So and we're thankful for that.
So that's certainly a wonderful event. How has your presidency been going, Mr. President?
Well, I feel good because, you know, when we talked before, when I came in, my whole sort of initiative was about mobilizing people learning how to do business using smart devices. And as we talk today on my phone, I won't say Apple phone or Google phone, right. On my phone, the alpha testing is happening on my phone right now. So pretty soon we'll have that out into the public.
So this is an app for the Black Chamber?
Black Chamber of Commerce. It's called a communication platform, and what it'll do is that you'll never give a business card away again. It'll be an e-business card where you can do your business however you want, the way you want it, and send it to me, and it'll reside in my phone.
I like it. I like it.
Interesting idea.
That is a great idea and great revenue building as well.
Yes.
What have you found surprising during this time of working as president of the Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce?
Well, the challenge is still, you know, how to get the city and the county to recognize what you're doing has value to them, because the city and county doesn't fund chambers anymore. And you know my history. I was one of the people that years ago helped start the Black Chamber back in around 1990.
Yes. And
we had funding from the city. So it's very entrepreneurial. So for me, it's okay because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, teaching entrepreneurism, right? So, but the challenge is always funding. So we've come up with a couple of different plans. We call a plan for self-sufficiency that later on, if anybody wants to go to our website, they'll be able to see it.
Okay, that's excellent. Yes. Well, it's wonderful to know that you are continuing to boost awareness, to have impact in multiple ways, and for the businesses who are members, you're setting an agenda and really helping them see how they can get the support that's needed for their businesses to thrive in Silicon Valley.
That's a huge thing, Janice. Even in 1990, when I was first president, some of those same issues are still here today in 2015.
Wow, that's
access to capital, access to contracts, right? And we help them with access to technology, but those things are still a challenge right now for the chamber.
Wow.
And small businesses, not just black or minority businesses, for small businesses.
Yes, unfortunately that continues, but it's good to know that steps are in place to see that change. And we reach back for the youth. You know, I know my job as a current chamber president is to take care of current business folks and people who aspire to be in business, but if we don't reach back into the schools and get into the educational stream, and we have a next generation business academy teaching financial business, if we don't do that, we won't have future entrepreneurs. Exactly. Well, it's good to know that you're doing that. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. Thanks for being here today. Good to see you. And if you'd like to attend the May 9th event, the details are on our screen. Also the way to contact the chamber. Garrett Gonzalez is a native of San Jose who's making good on the comedy scene in LA. Recently, he came back to San Jose. He was at the San Jose Improv. We found him on location. Here's what he was talking about. I'm Janice Edwards. We are on location at the San Jose Improv with Garrett Gonzalez. He is going to be on the show tonight. Local boy made very good. Netflix is filming this, and Garrett started his career at Create TV.
I did.
Tell me about that.
When I was 16 years old, I had a sketch comedy television show on Create TV. Back then it was channel 15A. And it was called The G-Man Show, sketch comedy TV show starring me. I produced it, and starred in it.
Oh wow! So that was the beginning of your television career.
That was.
But were you funny all the time growing up? Were you telling jokes to the family? Or?
I think I was just in the creative manner where they were kind of like, that's a little off the wall. And then eventually when I became a comedian, it kind of came full circle, and they're like, okay, now that you're making money in it, you can be weird all you want.
Yes. Once it pays off, it's doing right. Then you're genius. Before that,
right?
It's like
before you're like you're crazy. Now you're amazing.
Right. So what was it like for you growing up in San Jose, having this dream? Did you expect it to come true? Some people usually say they did, but a lot of times people just really don't know what's going to happen. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I always visualized it and thought it could happen as long as you work hard enough. And that's what I did. Just every night at the comedy clubs, and just not taking no for an answer, and just kept at it.
So tell me about the first time you were at a comedy club and you realized you killed it, that you really had people laughing. You remember? Where were you?
First time, actually, I was snuck in to a bar at age 17.
Okay.
And they got me on the open mic, and they got me on the list, and I was scared. I was like, I don't know how to do stand up, you know. And so he put my name down. I didn't even know what to say. He goes, just trust me. When you get on stage, you'll know what to do. Okay. So once I got on stage, I just spoke my mind, and I killed it.
Wow.
And at that time, I looked like I was like 13. You know. And so they were like, oh my God, who let this kid in? He's, you know, looked like he's 13 years old.
But he's funny.
And he's funny. And I had braces to even make it even worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, after that, I was like, man, let's do another one. So ever since then, yeah, been just kept at it.
Okay. Do you remember what joke you told?
Oh man, I remember telling a joke about how I'm half white, half Mexican, even though I look like I'm full white. I talked about my braces. I think that's all I remember.
So being half white and half Mexican, have you had any challenges in terms of cultural identity or people asking you how you identify or anything like that?
Only on college tests where it's like, are you Hispanic or are you white? And I'm kind of like, well, I have to, you know, check Hispanic because my last name is Mexican, Gonzalez, even though I look white. That's the only challenge I think growing up was that question asking me whether I am or I'm not. Because I look one way, but my name says another.
So now that you are here, you're getting ready for this show, let's talk about the journey from that first night where you were 17 to being here tonight. This is going to be shown on Netflix, and this is really a wonderful career moment.
Yeah.
So how'd you get it? When did you decide, okay, I've got to leave San Jose, go to LA, all that? How old were you then?
Then I was 18 years old.
Oh, wow. So you didn't waste
18 years
time.
old.
What did your parents say? Were they okay with that?
Yeah, they're like, get out of the house. You know?
Get out of the house, make some money, right?
Please go.
So you went?
I did.
Was it hard at first? Or?
At first, kind of, because I look so young, but all the other comics actually took a liking to me because I did look so young. So it was kind of the edge because they're like, oh, here comes the little kid. We'll give the little kid a chance. So it was pretty cool.
Okay. So how did you get involved with this Mighty Schmucks tour and all that?
I am the producer of it.
Right.
So, and I hooked up with Sean Weiss, who played Goldberg the goalie in the Mighty Ducks movies.
Right.
And I just told him my idea, and he said, let's do it. I said, okay. So we did it. We did a couple of shows here in California, LA, San Jose, Arizona, and we just, took off. And then Netflix came around because he's filming for a new Netflix show called What About Weiss?
Yeah, right.
And we said, well, why not make a stand-up show? So that's what we're doing now.
So as you're producing, you're looking at the vision, what would be your ultimate dream in this business?
We actually want some more movies.
Okay.
So we're looking a close-knit group, me, Sean, a couple other guys, and we want to make some more movies like he used to do, comedy movies.
Nice.
So that's our goal.
So you have a group and you're all working together for the vision. So the sense of competition that sometimes comes up, is that a problem at all, or have you all decided that you're all in together?
We're all in it together. I mean, everyone always asks me, well, this comic is going up, and do you think he's going to be better than you, or do you think, I said, well, I look at it, every comic has a different flavor, and every audience member has a different taste. So some person's not going to like that comic, other person's not going to like me. And I think it balances out equally.
Right. Can you tell us, maybe not some of the jokes you're going to use in a little bit, but some of your standby? I know this always gets them that are in your repertoire.
Talk about my daughter a lot. Talk about, being a comic, being half Mexican, half white.
For Gary Gonzalez!
Hey guys, my name is Gary Gonzalez. Thank you. I'm half white, half Mexican, which actually makes me half white, half drunk. I don't know what it is.
being half white, half Mexican, I don't know what it is with my name. People can't pronounce my f***ing name right. They can't. They're like, hi, I'm Garrett. Eric. No, Garrett. Derek. No, Garrett. Gary. Kinda. Think about it like Gary, but the gay version. Garrett.
So there's some 16-year-old watching thinking, I want to be a comedian. I don't know how to get there. What advice would you give?
I would say just go to open mics. Go to open mics. You know, look
Make sure
on
you're
the-
funny first,
Yeah,
right?
no,
No?
not even. You could. I mean, you know, I didn't get funny until a couple of years doing it. I've been doing it for 10 years, so
Oh, okay.
you know, the funny comes as when you grow. As you grow, you kind of, you know, this joke you've done so long, your whole set and act it transforms as time goes on. So just if you want to do it, just go to open mic. If you like it, keep at it.
Who do you admire in terms of comedy? Who are the greats that you look to for inspiration?
I like growing up as a kid. I loved Adam Sandler.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's one of my favorite comics of all time. In high school, I think it was Dave Chappelle. I love the
yeah.
Chappelle Show, and that's what inspired me to do my TV show, which was the G-Man Show.
Right.
And doing sketch comedy. And stand-up wise, I'm gonna have to say Mitch Hedberg.
Okay. It's interesting. I saw a clip of Dave Chappelle when he was talking to Maya Angelou about why he stopped working, and he said that everything changed after he became famous. He said he would go out and instead of creating and having this process on stage, people would start yelling some of his taglines at him, and so it interrupted the way that he processed and did his comedy. Have you had anything change as you have become more well known?
Yeah, because I'll have people, you know, say certain lines to my jokes, and it's kind of like, oh, wow, you remember that? Okay, cool. You know, and it's kind of like, wow, it's kind of, I think it's kind of pretty the biggest reward when people know your certain jokes.
Right.
Because now people come to see certain jokes, and if there's a joke that I don't do after the show, man, you didn't do that one joke. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Like people come for like concerts. You come to hear a certain song. Well, they come here to see certain jokes.
Right. Do you like hecklers? Are you hoping there'll be someone who gives you that opportunity?
I
or-
like hecklers because I love it.
Yeah.
I don't go looking for it, but if there's one there, then I'll you know,
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
You'll take it on, right?
But I don't go looking for it. I'm not the kind of comic who just makes fun of people in the crowd. But if there's someone there that's giving it to me, I'll give it to you right back.
All right.
But heckling's pretty fun. I like it.
Well, you're pretty fun. Garrett, thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome. Thank you very
Break
much.
a leg tonight, as they say.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll look forward to continuing your success and come back to see us at Korea
Yes,
TV.
thank you very much for having me. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it as
Alrighty.
well. Here's
Bye.
how to reach him. We are excited to have two community leaders who've joined us before. Back with us now, Chike Inofia is the CEO of the Orike Theater, which sponsors the Rites of Passage, as well as the Silicon Valley African Film Festival, and Rufus White, who is program director at the Orike Theater Rites of Passage, among many other credits. On April 18th, there's going to be a special showing of a film entitled Bound that deals with conflict and conversation between Africans and African Americans. Gentlemen, welcome back. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Let's talk about this event and really what inspired it.
Gosh, where do we start? Just like you mentioned in the introduction, Orike Theatre produces the Silicon Valley African Film Festival every year, and this year, actually 2015, will be the 6th annual Silicon Valley African Film Festival.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And in February of this year, we expanded our festival to Houston. And so I was in Houston in February curating the Houston African Film Festival. And in the process of that, we discovered this new film, a documentary called Bound, Africans versus African Americans. And I thought this was interesting. And I previewed the film and I was just captivated by it. And so we took it to Houston, we screened it, and had a community dialogue around the themes explored in the film. And immediately I knew that this was something that we sorely needed here in Silicon Valley. And so I contacted the filmmakers, and I'm happy to say that finally we're able to bring the film here. The film was directed by Perez Owino, a young Kenyan-born filmmaker. She's going to be here, but the producer of the film is actually Hollywood actor Isaiah Washington, who is also going to be here for the screening and conversations.
Oh, that's going to be a great event on April 18th. Rufus, you are involved in many different programs with the Oriki Theater. What do you consider significant about this dialogue between Africans versus African Americans?
Well, it's important that we understand the break, the divide that occurs, when people don't know and understand each other, and have a conversation that will allow that divide to be bridged. There's a loss in a couple of areas. One is by not knowing each other, we don't get to share, okay? And as well, if we happen to understand the cultures and the culture differences, then we can also feel the culture similarities. Because a lot of the culture has been brought forward, although it's not in the exact same format.
Right, from the motherland.
Exactly,
yes.
yeah. And in fact, that's one of the things that we highlight in the Rites of Passage program, because it is literally based upon passage rites from the motherland. And it is bridged to the United States, and these adolescent boys are then taught the principles of those rites, in order to take the first step into manhood.
It's such an important part of our heritage, and here's just a little snippet from Bound, Africans versus African Americans.
I was called African booty scratcher I don't know how many times.
I'm not even sure what an African booty scratcher is. I don't know if it's a stick you scratch your back with. I have no idea, but it's a term we've been calling each other since we've been children. Typically, the darker you are, you tend to be called that term.
If you're taught that everything that is black is to be despised, then I really hate the reflection, not in white people, but in black people, because you remind me of my nothingness.
You know who I am because I know who I am. And I know where I came from. And I know where I'm going. It's perfect Sankofa.
So April 18th, we have the information on our screen. That's when you can enjoy that. Chike, when you saw the film, did it resonate in terms of what you experienced here in the Valley or throughout the Bay Area between Africans and African Americans?
Oh yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing about the film is the filmmaker herself, Perez Owino, being Kenyan-born, migrated to the United States and had to confront not just the perceptions that people had of her, but she had to wrestle with her own perceptions of others. And so being a filmmaker, I think what she did and what she's done with this film is to give us permission to begin to wrestle with our own misconceptions of one another and talk about it. Something that is often not understood is people think that these differences have always been there. And we must realize that if you look at the history of Africans in America, if you look at from the liberation struggle, from the civil rights movement, you look at the parallel struggle on the African continent itself, against colonialism and whatnot. The vanguards of both of these movements, we're actually talking to each other and working together as early as the 1900s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and all of that. And so
it is fascinating, and that's what you're going to explore.
Right,
so I'm so glad that you were here. We look forward to it on April 18th, and thank you for all the work that you're doing in putting your signature on our Valley. And thank you for joining us today. Again, the details are on our screen for that event, as well as how to reach the Oriki Theater. And that's our show. I'm Janice Edwards. Thanks for what you do to put your signature on our Valley. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Please join us then.